Are you tired of watching TV shows that don't live up to your expectations? The same goes for stakeholders when our software doesn't meet their expectations. Stay tuned for a simple technique to increase the value delivered by your team. We've all been there. You sit down to watch your favorite TV show only to find it's gone completely off the rails. The plot twists are confusing, the characters are inconsistent, and you're left wondering what the heck is going on. TV shows like Lost and Heroes suffered from this problem. They started with promising storylines and interesting characters, but somewhere along the way, things went awry. Fans are left scratching their heads and wondering if the writers have any idea what they're doing. Similarly, stakeholders feel confused and disappointed when the software you deliver fails to meet their expectations. When they provide feedback and point out perceived flaws in the new features, it's hard not to get defensive. After all, you built exactly what they asked for. If they just described what they needed better, you wouldn't be in this mess right now. But surely the breakdown is more than just on the stakeholders' shoulders to bear. Henry Ford famously said, "If I'd asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses." People can only express their needs and wants within the context of their current experiences and limitations. In other words, they may be unable to imagine a better solution because they don't know what's possible. Stakeholders sometimes struggle to define requirements because they're too focused on what the solution should be instead of trying to understand what they're ultimately trying to achieve. That's where your development team gets to leverage their technical prowess. If you understand your users' goals, you can find innovative ways to meet or exceed expectations. The fundamental breakdown isn't on the stakeholders or the development team, it's in the middle. You need to strengthen your process of obtaining and vetting requirements, and this is where the given, when, then structure can help. The given clause defines the preconditions or initial state of the system before the requirement can be met. It sets up the context for the condition. The when clause defines the action or event that triggers the requirement and describes the behavior or input used to satisfy the requirement. The then clause defines the expected outcome or result of the requirement, and it describes the desired behavior or output of the system after the when clause executes. Using the given when then format, you can write requirements in a clear and structured way that stakeholders, developers, and testers can all understand. This approach can reduce misunderstandings and misinterpretations and ensure the developed software meets the desired expectations. Given that I've had a stressful week at work, when I've finished my work on Friday afternoon, then I treat myself to a margarita. And sticking with the TV show theme, you can think of this template as a sort of script. Given is the opening scene, when is the plot twist, and then is the happy ending. The happy ending is always everyone's favorite part, so it can be easier to start there when defining acceptance criteria and then work backward to the given clause. Once you know what you want to happen, the then clause, it's easier to define the trigger or the when clause. Once we've thought through the when and then, any preconditions become easier to identify. Don't forget that a user story and its acceptance criteria are not a contract between the stakeholder and the development team. It's just a placeholder for conversations. What's important is the thought process supported by the given when then syntax. Frank Oppenheimer said, "The best way to learn is to teach." You can only teach a subject if you really know it. In preparation for teaching, what knowledge you're missing will become apparent, and you'll gain understanding as you fill the gap in preparation for teaching others. Similarly, you cannot clearly specify acceptance criteria unless you really know what you want. Filling in this template will highlight any missing understanding of your wants. By the time the structure is complete, the stakeholder has really thought deeply about what they want. Additionally, you've documented those thoughts in a simple to consume format that the development team can easily translate into automated tests. Have you ever tried to work with a stakeholder and coach them to think about what they really need? Some people will struggle with this critical thinking exercise and may feel that the work is too technical and may try to deflect that work onto the development team. I've seen this happen in several companies. Work that involves critical thinking or seems too complex or unfamiliar is often delegated to a more technical team. Individuals think it will be easier for the technical team, or they don't feel confident in their ability to complete the work and thus try to delegate it to others. It's important to educate stakeholders about the importance of their role in the development process and the benefits of actively engaging in requirements gathering and specification. If you've ever felt like smacking a deflector, consider smacking the like button instead. It helps this video reach more people so that they too can learn tactics to prevent violence against deflectors. Imagine if the writers of TV shows could have conversations with their viewers and hash out what the viewers expect. Lost would have had a better ending and fewer abandoned storylines, and Heroes would have been more cohesive and consistent. Clarifying expectations up front can also amplify a development team's ability to deliver value. If you can get the delivery right the first time, your team will spend less time doing rework and processing feedback to tweak changes to meet stakeholders' needs. The developers can use the additional free time to deliver more customer value. Not to mention, the stakeholders' trust in our team's capabilities will improve as we provide precisely what they need for each request. Level setting expectations is crucial to ensuring value delivery, but it's just one piece of the puzzle. To get the complete picture, watch this video now to ensure an unhealthy focus on velocity doesn't stunt your team's value delivery.